It's been about 10 years since we've last got a track from the supergroup Slaughterhouse, which is comprised of Crooked I, Joell Ortiz, Joe Budden, and Royce da 5'9". And there's a few reasons for that, which Joell and King Crooked aired out on their latest track, Vacancy, off of their upcoming album, The Rise and Fall of Slaughterhouse. There's a lot to look into with this, so let's go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. If you're new here, these breakdowns are where I go through and read out the lyrics to a song and give my interpretation of what the artists are trying to say. My interpretations are not always correct, and I do miss things, so if I've missed or misinterpreted anything, please let me know in the comments below. That way, everyone gets to learn, especially with a track like this where it's very personal, to say the least. So the track starts off with a little bit of an intro from Joell, and then he goes right into his verse.
I remember we was on the road on one of them tours, like, hold on. Got the #1 album in the country, is so on. They called us Voltron, where did we go wrong? We posted did this music shit for so long, instead it's so long.
Slaughterhouse clearly was on the road back in the day, and on one of those tours, either the one that, I guess, kicked off the group, you could say, with when they went on tour with Tech 9, or the one after they got signed to Shady, they had the #1 album. And it's crazy because at that time, you have 4 elite MCs rapping their asses off and making dope-ass music. I remember when Hammer Dance came out, and I think Joe Budden even said, he was like, it's wild, the song came out like a day ago, and everyone's rapping it word for word in the crowd. You know, they formed together like Voltron. They created Slaughterhouse, like a crazy group. So he's like, where did it all go wrong? Because we did all this stuff. We were in the music for so long. What happened?
The house is vacant. Your mouse is making that podcast money, talking foul and flagrant. Right from his couch, I'm hating. Royce Grammy nod came without debating. The allegory's a wild creation.
The house is vacant. Slaughterhouse, the glass house. Welcome to our house. Like, that's a few things that he's talking about, but I think the house is just the group. It's vacant. There's no one there anymore because as a group, they haven't made music in about 10 years or so. And then he's talking about Joe, how he's just making podcast money off of talking foul and flagrant. And yeah, I mean, you know what the Joe Budden podcast is. It doesn't need any explanation. And right from his couch, I'm hating. So in the video, Joel's on the couch. Presumably he's talking about Joe's couch. And he's just hating on Joe. Like, at least that's what I got from those words. But I think he's also just kind of playing off of how Joe acts on the podcast. Then he goes on to talk about Royce. Like, he's basically just bigging up Royce here. Like, it's great because, you know, I'm sure they've had more communication than with Joe. But he's like, yeah, Royce is doing his thing. The allegory was amazing. Of course, I got a Grammy nom.
I'm happy you got to smell your flowers, baby. And Crook still out here being crook. Got every rapper shook. Ain't never used a book for a verse or a hook.
He's just happy that Royce has gotten to smell his flowers because a lot of rappers don't get them until it's too late. And he's talking about Crook and how Crook's just been doing his thing like forever, just rapping his ass off, and he's got every rapper shook.
Slippers, human, Mona Lisa and Monday, hard, Gorilla Glue, yo Fred will laugh again one day, damn, where did time go? Slaughterhouse been apart like 9, yo.
Here, Joel is listing off all the albums that he's put out since the last Slaughterhouse album. It's wild. Slaughterhouse has been apart for about 9 years. I guess closer to 9 than 10. Like, where did the time go? Like, he's put out all this stuff, and still they haven't gotten together on the same page.
You ask why though? I wish I had them answers, I don't. Just know that pig shit'll never resume. Emails, phone calls, and Zoom, still not enough to get us all in a room.
Y'all wondering why we're not together? That's a good fucking question, because I don't know either. It's like, they've tried. Like, they've tried to resume from wherever they left off. Like, they've tried to email, phone call, they've tried to do Zoom, but they just can't all get together and do it. Like, for one reason or another, which, I mean, to be fair, it is a hard thing to do as a group, but, you know, when people are very dedicated to a group, you'll find a way, or you'll try at least.
Royce said he ain't doing a 3-man without Joe. But Joe said he retired, so how the hell is supposed to go? I looked in the eyes of Crooked Eye, said one last time, he said let's go. So this one's for the fans and anyone else who wants to know.
On a Spaces that I think it's still going on at the time of recording, but I hopped in for a second, Crook mentioned how they had a big deal. Like Joel and Crook were able to get a deal if they had brought in Royce and Joe for another Slaughterhouse project. And because Joe was always like, yeah, I'm down, like supposedly. And he's like, eventually when that deal came about, Joe's like, nah, I'm not doing it. And Royce is like, I'm not doing it without Joe. Which, yeah, I think we kind of assumed that would, like, you can't really have Slaughterhouse without all four of them. It'd be really hard at least. And Joe's very, very not going to rap again. Like, he does not want to rap again for whatever reason. They're just like, what do we do now? So Joel's like, all right, Crook, you want to do another project? I'd bet. And this project and track, at least, is going to be for us, the fans who are trying to figure out what happened.
Why the best group ever turned out to be one of the best groups that never got back to his son after the shady era. Shit, Paul wasn't on his best behavior.
They were one of the best groups that could have gone somewhere. I mean, it's hard to say now because, you know, the landscape of hip hop has changed, but it could have been. It could have been something. And then he's, you know, talking about the shady era where they were supposed to drop Glass House, but that never happened. And then I think they were like, oh, well, when we get off of Shady, we'll drop Glass House because then we can drop it how we want it. Because I think they had some issues with Welcome to Our House. Like, they may have pushed a little bit too much for commercial. I could be misremembering it too. It's been a little while since I heard about it.
And Joe's comments about M left no revival for major endeavors. So the gang dropped the flag, got off the label, back and forth, drawn out lawyer to lawyer. But today we're able to say we're free, but we ain't eating at no round table.
Clearly, Joe's going to have some comments about Eminem, which we don't need to get into the specifics, but it left for no revival, which is also a play on Eminem's album Revival. It's for no, like, they had no chance of getting another major deal, or at least at that time, even though they did get something later on that could have been something. So the gang dropped the flag off the label. They dipped, and they were basically, you know, trying to, I guess, lawyer up, which to me is just so that they all get their money. Which, fine, you got to do that. It's understandable. So they're free, but they're still not together. Like, they may have left the label and whatever issues were there, but they're not together as a group anymore. So they're not free together.
It's rectangle, me and Crook in a Bojangles. Back to this chicken from rapping incisions, cutting the hardest vocals you can imagine or vision. Man, this half is just different.
It's a rectangle, me and Crook, and the Bojangles. Yeah, I guess it's more of a line, I guess, but instead of a round table. And they're just back to rapping. They're just going to keep rapping their asses off. They got the hardest vocals you can ever imagine. And this half, Joel and Crook, is just different. Hard, which is a callback to their EP that dropped, 2020?
I hope the other half will listen. Put the business in the back and get back to business.
Yeah, he's just hoping that Royce and Joe are going to listen and do something, like get back to business. Whether or not that's going to happen, it's really hard to say. I mean, Royce has already made some comments, and Joe is Joe. He'll probably wait for the podcast because content. But you know, it's there. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. And it's interesting that he had this line, because if they had just put out the single without announcing the album, hey, who knows what would happen? But because the album's actually coming out, I don't know that Royce or Joe are gonna want anything to do with it now. But who knows? This then gets to the chorus. Yeah, I mean, the chorus is pretty straightforward. It's emotional in the sense that, like, both Joel and Crook probably expected that the group wouldn't go the way it did. Like, they thought that they had something crazy going, and things just didn't work out, unfortunately. I mean, there were a lot of other things going on, which I'm sure we'll get on the album, but it just sucks. This then goes into King Crooked's verse.
With all you fans of Witness, I have to ask forgiveness. This might be sacrilegious. I don't want to go back to business. I don't want to go back to biz, back to the back and forth.
Crook seems a bit more straightforward in the sense that he's just kind of over it, it sounds like. He doesn't want to deal with this back and forth. It might be sacrilegious, but he doesn't want to go back to that business. Like, he's not doing it.
The last deal I brought, that bag was different. Only thing I heard back was crickets. That was my answer, listen, never did lack persistence.
So this is talking about that deal that I mentioned earlier. Like, this deal would have been crazy for them, and he really just got nothing back. So, all right, cool. I guess that's what we're doing. And he never lacked persistence. He kept trying to push for it. Like, over these 9 to 10 years, I'm sure he's been trying to contact all of them and get them all together. And all he's really gotten back was he got back from Joell and Royce a couple times, but not really. Not to the extent that I would have expected. Or he probably would have expected.
I ain't no mathematician, but I see mad division. Couldn't get past the friction. Was it a bad decision? Trying to get back to the mission of actually winning in rap again. Cause all of us had the vision.
He ain't no mathematician, but he sees mad division, like the split between all of them. Or at least between the two halves. Like, was it a bad decision to try to get back? Try to get the group together? Like, we're trying to get the band back. Like, maybe it wasn't the right move. Like, maybe we don't need to win and rap again. Like, but that doesn't make sense because they all had the vision. Like, why would you not want to do this sort of thing?
But that was years ago. This is a new day. The fans deserve flowers. This is a bouquet for wishing the group stay together forever and never fall out like hair. At least we balled out like missing a toupee.
But yeah, all that stuff that he was talking about was years ago. This is a brand new day. Every day is a new day, right? The fans deserve flowers. I mean, because the fans have been hoping and wishing that Slaughterhouse would get back or come back at some point. But here we are.
With trips to the UK, yay. To bonding with the group, I became partial. He didn't start the group, he can't end it. Don't blame Marshall. He didn't start the group, he can't end it. Don't blame Paul.
So he became partial to trying to bond with him. Like, at least that's what it sounds like. I mean, when you're in a group of 4 dope rappers and you're going around the world, like they went to UK, like, you're gonna build some sort of bond with them. And then he goes on to, I guess, address the fans' theories, like, oh, maybe it was Shady that disassembled the house or whatever. But he's like, nah, like, they didn't start the group, so they can't be the ones to end it. So don't blame Eminem, don't blame Paul. Like, it's not their fault. This division, this dismantling came from within.
And fans been there from the beginning. Can't blame y'all. Let me take some responsibility. I had that Hennessy feeling me, willingly committing penalties mentally. Whenever liquor with enemy, bringing the silliest energy.
The fans have been there from the beginning. I remember when the album came out, and I was just telling everyone about it. Like, I'm talking about the 2009 album. Like, it was different. But then he's like, let me just take some responsibility. Like, I did some dumb things. Like, that was when he was drinking. Like, I mean, he's been sober since, or for a while now. But he's like, when I had the Hennessy, I was just acting a fool, essentially.
Innocent, I can't pretend to be. I just don't fuck with the industry. You lied, you stole, and treated me just like an enemy. Now Joell, it's just him and me on our purple tape.
He's not pretending to be innocent. Like, he knows he made some mistakes as well. But he just doesn't fuck with the industry and how, I guess, the industry was moving at that time. Kind of like when Ghostface yelled "Fuck Hot 97" at Summer Jam or something like that. Which also makes sense because then he goes on to reference Purple Tape, which is Raekwon and Ghostface. But the part where he's saying, you lie, you stole, and treat me just like an enemy, that's rough. Especially when it feels like he thought of everyone as family, like they were brothers together.
Pride made the circle break. Stop letting them fake lies circulate. We too old for that. Plus we family men. We too real. Truth for truth. That's the bag we in.
Pride made the circle break. At the end of the day, that's what happened, I guess. Like, pride will get the best of you. Stop letting them fake lies circulate, which calls like the circle bit. Like, break that circle rather than letting the other circle break. The fake lies being just, I guess, random theories of what actually happened. So this is kind of what this album's about. They're like, nah, we're just going to speak our truth. Like what we thought and what we experienced. Like, you can't tell them that they're wrong about what they experienced. And then he's like, nah, we all too old for this. We're all family men. Like, we can't be acting crazy in the streets. Like, we just got to rap about it. We got to talk our truth. And that's the bag they're in. This then goes back into the chorus again, and then the song ends. This song is heavy. I honestly, like, when I saw it was being released, like, it dropped on Thursday. Today is Saturday, and I didn't listen to it until today because I didn't know that I was ready for it. And what I mean by that is, like, I am a Slaughterhouse fan. Like, I've been a fan since pretty much the beginning, and I've been a fan of Crooked Eye especially since just before Slaughterhouse. Same with Royce and Joe. Like, Joell I got onto a little bit later, but these are all people that I acknowledge as top tier lyricists, and they had something. So when I saw the promo video of the shirts burning, I felt some sort of way because I was like, damn, like, they're really just burning the house down, but not to the extent of burning bridges, I don't think. Like, yeah, you could say that they're burning bridges in this, but in my mind, what I think it is they're just airing grievances. They're just talking about what they experienced during the past 10 years or so. Like, there's a lot that the fans don't know about. So, and I mean, for good reason. Like, they don't want to bring up drama. Like, I get it. But after some time, you got to talk about it because the fans want to know. And I'm sure it's been weighing heavy on them too for all this time. Like, they've wanted to get the group back together, and the only person that ever really responds is Royce, and even then, he doesn't really say anything. And it's just wild. Like, I'm excited for this album, but I'm also dreading it because, like, it'll definitely make me, and I'm assuming others, look at everyone else in Slaughterhouse in a different light. Like, to be fair though, this is only going to be from the perspective of Joell and Crook. So, who knows? Like this is their truth, but we still do need to hear the other side to really form an opinion. But because they're going to be the first ones out and first ones saying anything about it, I'm going to definitely feel some sort of way about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Royce responds in a rap, because that's just kind of the kind of person he is. I mean, remember that whole Lupe beef? But man, I don't think Joe's gonna say anything other than they wildin'. I guess we'll find out next week on his podcast. But man, this makes me sad. Like, I mean, I guess we all kind of knew that Slaughterhouse was dead, like they were over, but this is kind of like the final nail in the coffin sort of thing. Well, the whole album will be. This is like one of the last ones. So yeah, I still need to fully process this track, but I think it's a necessary song, especially for that era of hip hop. Like, not everyone was really into Slaughterhouse at the time, but if you were there, you were there. But that's all I'm going to say for now. I still need to think about the song a little bit more. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this track and if I missed something or misinterpreted anything, because, like I said, there's probably more to it. I mean, especially if they mentioned more on the Twitter Spaces thing. But yeah, let me know what y'all thought. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.